This week, I'm keeping it simple with a project that's ideal if you are feeling overwhelmed or anxious or depleted, because I'm feeling overwhelmed and depleted. Welcome to Better with Art. I'm Melinda, and I'm here to encourage you to practice creative self-care with weekly art prompts with inexpensive and easily accessible materials. Let's get started. In this week's video, I'm returning to one of my favorites, one of my art activities that I frequently do not on camera when I just need to quiet my mind and practice some creative self-care art making. I've created a border. It's not necessary, but I find it makes things easier for me. And I'm just going to draw some softly wavy lines that do cross each other in areas. If you've been around a while, for my original Better with Art videos on my original channel, there's a good chance you already know where this is going. My simple form of neurographic style line making. An off-camera creative self-care go-to and subject of several videos. I often use it when I'm exhausted and need to make something totally low pressure, but also focused. It starts with just lines, meandering across our paper. I'm using a black Sharpie in one of my Dylusions journals. Not all of the new Better with Art prompts are done in an art journal, but they're a very useful tool. If you'd like to know more about what I use, there's a link in the description. All you need for this week's prompt is a writing or drawing implement of any type you'd like, and some type of paper to draw on. This type of gentle line making gives your brain something gentle to focus on, just enough to pull it out of the noise of overthinking or exhaustion, and those stressed or depressed or anxious, negative thoughts that won't stop spinning in your mind. It can start calming the nervous system almost immediately. You are not trying to make anything in particular or design anything. You're not trying to solve anything. You're showing up and making lines. Lines that don't require precision, but help you be present in the moment, quieting the noise around you and inside you. You can see that these lines got a little less gently wavy. It was bringing up some stress I was feeling, and this was how my brain wanted to deal with it. This therapeutic art activity is ideal for when you are feeling overwhelmed or depleted. I have been feeling both. As I said, this is a go-to creative self-care project for me. This simple form of neurographic style art is surprisingly powerful for mental and emotional well-being. It is important for our next step that our lines do cross in places. Though where our lines cross do create sharp, pointy places. Kind of like the sharp, jagged thoughts that get stuck. The anxiety, perhaps, that jangles our nerves. The next step is to soften all of those out. A visible representation, a physical act that can both represent the calming of the jagged within us and actively soften them. There are different approaches to the softening. You can trace the lines or make soft shapes within the lines, always coloring in those sharp corners. You can see that I use both of these approaches, sort of meld them together. You can also just soften each pointy place. I like the definition that going over the lines creates, going over the lines or using the lines to create a shape within each shape created by the lines. So I rarely do as much of the just corners. Do what works for you. As I go, you will see in some areas that the more you go over each area of line, the more it moves away from line into shape. I've created some really interesting pieces of art using that approach that ends up like river rocks. It looks like river rocks under running water. River water. I will have some previous neurographic style art making videos from my original channel linked in the description. And you can see that watercolor was a big part, a second part of the relaxation. When I do this for myself, typically when I just need my brain to quiet and to relax my nervous system, my brain, however you want to look at it, it's typically just the lines, but I also love the watercolor step. It's just not something I always have the time for. It's not always convenient. This little project can be as convenient as you would like it to be. Sometimes I will just sit down on the couch with one of my art journals and a Sharpie. I do prefer the Sharpies to a smaller pen. And just make lines, soften the pointy parts, and let it relax me, quiet me, calm me. And raise my mood when I'm feeling low, down, sad. If you have time to add color and feel inspired to do that, enjoy. If all you have is a few minutes and you just need a quick creative self-care break, this simple form of neurographic line making and softening is ideal. And as I said, it is one of my go-tos for a quick creative self-care fix. As mentioned, it requires focus, but a gentle focus. To put the next part more scientifically, if you will, there's low cognitive demand. You don't need to put a lot of thought in it. You shouldn't try to put a lot of thought into it. Just make lines and soften the pointy parts, the jagged parts. It can stimulate a specific brainwave activity called sensory-motor rhythm in the sensory-motor cortex, the part of our brain involved in motor planning and execution, which means how our brain processes how it's going to move and then moves. This brainwave activity is often associated with relaxed wakefulness and motor inhibition. It's believed to reflect the brain's ability to maintain a calm, focused state and limit unnecessary movements. As mentioned, it's primarily observed in the sensory-motor cortex, which controls our voluntary movement. It helps suppress unwanted movements and allows for more precise motor control. I've mentioned in the past how art therapy can help survivors of traumatic brain injury. And this would be one possible way it can do that. It also, along with that, enhances our motor skill. In a previous video in this new iteration of Better with Art. I talked about the benefits of tracing with one of my other favorite creative self-care projects, but one that isn't as easy to just pick up and do whenever and wherever because it does require some paint. I will link to that video in the description also. Other clinical applications of sensory motor rhythm, as well as the stress and anxiety already brought up in this video, are helping with insomnia and potentially ADHD. According to polyvagal theory, it can activate the vagus nerve and promote a sense of safety, moving us out of a fight or flight response into the so-called rest and digest state. However it works, this type of art supports a calmer physiological state. Studies show that art activities like drawing can reduce cortisol and improve mood. Art does improve stress and well-being. The neurographic idea of softening intersections mirrors the emotional work of softening stress points, internal conflicts, or sharp responses. It creates a felt metaphor for resilience and acceptance, helping us be more comfortable with the unexpected, therefore building our resilience and capacity for self-compassion, something I've talked about several times so far on this new channel. Self-compassion is vital to mental health. So take some time to make some art this week. Taking time to make art is not a waste of time. It is so good for us. And this deceptively simple activity can have a great impact on our mood in the moment. As mentioned, I love it and turn to it in moments I just don't feel able to do much else. And it helps. Even if it's anecdotal evidence, not scientific evidence, I am evidence of how much this particular little activity helps, and art in general. I gave up regular art making for years, despite knowing how balancing it could be. Reclaiming my creativity with the 100-day project in 2022 was life-changing, and it's why I started the 52-week art journal journey on New Year's Day of 2023, which morphed into Better with Art after the 52 weeks. Now here on my new channel, focusing on creative self-care art, while I still have Melinda Van Rye for my outside art journal art. If this week's video has you encouraged to make some art, give me a thumbs up. As you can see, sometimes I expand the relaxation by adding more lines and shapes. This project is one of the gentlest ways I know to return to calm when I feel off-balanced or drained. The simple act of letting the pen move helps quiet the busy parts of my brain. There's no pressure to finish or make something beautiful. Just create your lines, soften the intersections, and breathe. It is enough. Give your nervous system a break from overstimulation and decision-making. Give yourself a chance to enter into the artistic flow stage with symbolic building of emotional flexibility as you soften sharp corners. If you take time to enjoy this simple flow of lines, I'd love to hear what the experience brought up for you. Did it help you settle, spark a thought, or just give you a quiet moment? Let me know in the comments. I read every one. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date on new Better with Art creative self-care prompts, and help me reach more people with the encouragement to reclaim their creativity and practice creative self-care with art making, and the message that taking time to make art is not a waste of time, because we are better with